going on, everybody? Welcome back. Dudes Who Bet Daily, July, what is it? No, it's August 3rd. Holy crap. 2023, a new month, more picks. Let's go, baby. I was happy to see during my hunt down to Del Mar, you guys were profitable. That's a good thing. Up a little over $500 for the year now, so nice to be in the black there. Papa Dude, where's your backwards hat, man?
Damn it. That's a young guy's thing.
I don't think I've ever seen you in a backward hat.
You won't either.
Perfect response.
Coaches at my age make fun of people like you guys that have. There you go. That's much better. Now you look like a coach, Magic.
Now I look like I'm sponsored.
See, my problem is if I turn this hat around, I'll do it. It's just too big for my head.
You do look better. Both of you guys look better with them turned the other way.
Yeah, so I'm just.
No, I think Somich is better that way.
Cool hat. Breeders' Cup Santa Anita. I like the logo, so if you want to check that out over at breederscup.com, that's one of the hats for this year's Breeders' Cup. Every now and then they put some good ones out. I think that's one of them, so you can go check that out, like I said, at breederscup.com. All right, let's jump right into it, boys. We've got baseball. We've got Saratoga. We've got Del Mar today. We'll kick it off with the game of the day. The Mets headed into Kansas City to take on the Royals. Royals here minus 120, total sitting at 9.5. There had to be a reason I picked this game. It's pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead and maybe in the first time in a long time take the Mets at even money here. I'm not sure why the Royals are the favorite. Brady Singer on the bump for the Royals, 6-8 with a 5.6 ERA. Cookie Carrasco on the mound for the Mets. But he's actually been pitching a little bit better. So I sprinkled a little bit on the Mets today. Not something I expected to say. Papa Dude, what do you think here?
I wanted to take the Royals really bad, but I can't take them at minus 120. I can't. Had they been underdogs, if it switched around the other way, I would have taken the Royals. I think they're going to win, though. The Mets have tossed it in, I think. I think the reason why the Royals are favored is Carrasco's pitching. But if I was going to bet, I'd do the same thing you did, Mike. You got to take the Mets. You can't take the Royals as a favorite. You just can't.
Magic, what do you think?
You had to pick this game. I think if you do, you take the Mets at even money. This is not going to be a pretty game. One reason I like him, Kansas City's on a 5-game win streak right now, and they're looking to sweep the Mets here. But, the Tuesday series opener, the Royals had to overcome deficits in the 8th inning and the 10th inning to get the win, so they had to keep fighting and clawing. And then, last night against the Mets, they ended up shutting them out. But the Mets just couldn't hit. It feels like the Mets should be able to get there, but you also have a Mets team that a $350 million payroll, to record-setting payroll to start the year. They've now gotten rid of Max Scherzer, who we'll talk about in a minute, Verlander, David Robertson, their closer. Their starting catcher at the beginning of the year lost his job to a rookie. Like, this completely fell apart here. This is just a nasty time. If you're a Mets fan, I'm sorry. You went into the season. Well, if you're a Mets fan, you should be used to this, right? Like, this is just the Mets never actually do what you think they're going to do if you think they're going to succeed. So that's not a good thing for us because we're all picking them. So.
Well, it's interesting too because they're going to be paying Scherzer and Verlander next year too, which is crazy. Yeah. They had to take a lot of the salary on in both of those trades, so they're going to have a big payroll next year without people even on the team. Kevin B mentioned it too. We do have football tonight. The Jets are -2 taking on the Browns in the Hall of Fame game. Total sitting at 33.5. I played the under 33.5. Didn't play a side. Kevin here liking the Jets -2. Did you guys look at the Jets-Browns game at all in the Hall of Fame game?
Want me to go first?
Sure, go for it.
Please.
The team doesn't count. No, it did not.
I thought I remembered that you both poo-pooed on all my preseason NFL bets last year, so I'm guessing that you didn't look at it. Did you, Magic?
No, if you want to actually watch a good football game, watch the CFL tonight. You've got the two best teams in the entire CFL, the BC Lions and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who've been to the championship game the last 3 years. That is going to be one hell of a game. I didn't bet it because it's going to be really difficult to try and pick a side there. That will actually be a legitimately good football game, not the piece of trash that Mike mentioned earlier.
Jets Browns, baby. Two teams that are up and comers this year. We'll see what happens. It's an important game for them both.
The Browns have been up and coming since 1998.
And their up and coming players aren't going to play. You think Aaron Rodgers is going to play tonight?
I would be surprised, but we'll see if he gets a series in or not. I haven't actually tried to dive into who's going to go from the starting perspective. It'll be interesting to see if you get Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson tonight. My guess is no on both, but we'll see what happens there. All right, jump over to another baseball game. Your Phillies, -125, headed in to take on the Marlins. Marlins have been one of my favorite teams to bet, Magic. I know you had them on Sunday. They they're kind of frisky. They're a little better than I think most people. What are you doing with this one?
Johnny Cueto effed me badly, and he was facing the Tigers and a rookie starter who was not good. And he gave up a 3-run meatball with 2 on and 2 out, and he was part of the parlay that would have been the other 2 angles cash very easily last Saturday. And no, this guy, I can't take the Marlins. They're 0-4 when Cueto's on the mound. He's made 2 straight starts. He did miss a bunch of time, but no, I'm going to go with Lorenzen, who, by the way, former Detroit Tiger and was the actual star of that Detroit Tigers team. So I'm going to take Phillies and Michael Lorenzen making his debut for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, give me the Phillies as well. I was kind of surprised it's only minus 125. I thought this should be the minus 145-ish range. So I thought there's a little bit of value on the Phillies. I took them as well. Papa Dude, you making a clean sweep?
Yes, I will. I'll make it a clean sweep. Good comeback for the Marlins yesterday, though. The Phillies led most of that game, and they pulled it out. That's a big win. Those two are really jockeying for position in the wild card. I'll take the Phillies as well. I like the pitching matchup.
We're going to jump back to NFL for real quick. This is actually correct. Kevin B is right. If you can get in front of some of the moves, there is some value. We moved a line last year on this show, if you guys remember. It was the 1st to 15 and 1st to 10 with the Patriots because we found out the starters for the other team weren't playing, and it jumped from minus 100 to minus 250 during our show when we talked about it. So definitely value in preseason NFL, but you do have to pay attention to who is going to be in and who is going to be out there. The team everyone's talking about, the Astros, are a dog today to the Yankees, minus 115. Total sitting at 9 in this one. Probably the game of the day if we're being realistic here. We got Javier on the mound for Houston, Schmidt on the mound for the Yankees. Another one I was a little surprised by, the favorite here. I thought the Astros would be favored here, Papa Dude.
Oh, I no doubt. The Yankees are always overvalued. But Houston's playing great at the moment. Could it be maybe they got to make a trip or something? Maybe they a little flat going into that first game, but it's in Yankee Stadium. I don't know how you can be flat. I like the Astros all the way today. I like the pitching matchup, although Javier has been struggling a little bit for Houston. So I just don't think the Yankees are good enough. And if Houston plays well, I think they win. So I like Houston as well.
Yeah, Houston's won 4 of their last 5, 10 of their last 15. The Yankees are just, what are they? I think they're they're 2 and 4 in their last 6 against the Rays and the Orioles. Astros at that level from a team perspective. The big question of how you price this is with Judge back, how much value do you give him on the Yankees side? Because he does change that offense quite a bit, Magic. Are you going with the Yankees? You going with the Astros here? You just watching?
If you were going to play a side, I'd go with the Astros on here. I still think that Clark can get the job done. He's allowed 3 or fewer runs in 17 of his last 21 starts, which is pretty good, and in all 12 of his last consecutive starts. He gave up 3 runs on 5 hits and 5 innings, but against Baltimore, who is leading that division over the Yankees. So if he was good enough to beat the Baltimore Orioles in that sense, he's sure as hell going to be good enough to beat Clark and the New York Yankees.
Yeah, interesting now. Kevin mentioning the Astros have moved to minus 120. Jason mentioned the Astros are now the favorite. I did this an hour ago. So I guess we've had quite a bit of action on the Astros.
Is Judge out? Is that what happened?
I'm seeing Astros minus 101 on one of my books. So you can still get a little bit of value on the Astros. To me, I think this is an Astros pass, and I played a little bit of the Astros when I saw them at minus or plus 105. So give me the Astros as well here. I think they're going to take care of business. All right, let's jump into the race of the day. We're going to go to Saratoga, race number 9. We didn't pick the toughest race in the world today, but it is the return of Warlike Goddess in the Grade 2 Glens Falls, going 1.5 miles on the turf. She has loved Saratoga. She is 3 for 4, got a second place. She is 6 for 7 at the 1.5 mile distance, which is absolutely wild. Joel Rosario picks up the mount. Last time we saw her, she actually was losing the Grade 1 New York at 1.25 miles over at Belmont. Probably was a little bit too short for her that day. Interesting spot here, Magic. You gotta like Rebels, or you gotta like Warlike Goddess, but 3 to 5 with Joel Rosario, never a fun proposition. What'd you end up doing here?
I can't play Warlike Goddess, and Lord help me, I hope I'm wrong on this, because I love that horse so much. But when we watched the Bewitched, when she came back for her 6-year-old year, We saw the Bewitched, and she won at Keeneland. She did not look like the same Warlike Goddess that we had seen. And there was a little bit of a layoff that she, the 174 days, hadn't seen her since the Breeders' Cup. But if you look at who she was facing, there was no one in that field that really was a threat compared to what she faces here. And she didn't run very well. And we said that on the Magic Mike show afterwards. At least I did. I'm not going to put you on it. But I definitely said, she doesn't look the same. She didn't look like her old self. And then you saw the Grade 1 New York, and the excuse that Bill Mott came up with was that it was 1.25 miles, which for her is too short, which is just always amazing when you hear that the Kentucky Derby distance, it's too short for a horse. She's back at 1.5 miles, which is, I think, her best distance. That's why she went to the Breeders' Cup turf last year. I just can't play her at 3 to 5. I think it's 6. We've finally seen her kind of trail off. And that's really sad to say, because that's the second time in 15 starts that she's ever even missed the board. And we love this horse to death. But if I'm going to pick a horse to beat her, I'm going to go with the second choice, number 4, McCulloch, for Chad Brown, Irad Ortiz Jr. She, this is a horse that can, she's won at 1.25 miles, so that's 1 2/8 miles. She's won at 1 3/8 miles. This is 1 4/8 miles. I think it's within her grasp. She's also coming third off of the bench. She was ahead of Warlike Goddess in that huge photo finish in the Grade 1 New York last out. Also in that race, McCulloch got not pinched back, but she didn't break super sharp, and Irad let her go back to the rear, and then she saved ground on the rail, which was the smart thing at the time, but then she had horses backing up in front of her, and Warlike Goddess actually got the jump on McCulloch. That's how far back she was. I don't think Irad does that in this spot. You don't have a market segmentation who looks like a legitimate gate-to-wire threat here. So I would go with McCulloch at 7 to 2 to beat Warlike Goddess. But again, I would love to see Warlike Goddess win this. But at that price, with what I've seen this year, I just can't do it.
Yeah, I trust Warlike Goddess in this spot. I agree with everything you said, but I do agree with Bill Mott, too, that the distance is a little too short, especially, and someone mentioned it, it's a 2-turn 1.25 miles at Belmont. She's always been a better 3-turn horse than 2-turn horse, which is weird to say as well, because there's not a lot of horses that are better at 3 turns. She's clearly one of them. The way you beat her generally is someone is in front of her and she can't get by, so you're looking for pace. The pace is awful in this race. It's going to come back. It's not anyone that I'm really worried about taking the field gate to wire. McCulloch is the horse that I like the most outside of Warlike Goddess. I think the 1-4 Exacta would be the play for me here, and just play it cold and hope you call the 1-4 home. I respect Virginia Joy. I respect Amazing Grace, the 2 horses to the inside of McCulloch. I'm not sure either of them are as good as McCulloch. I mean, Virginia Joy, I guess, would be the other one with Chad Brown. Be interesting to see how the 2 Browns play this. I don't think either goes to the lead because of how cheap the speed is to their outside. So we'll see what happens here, but really should be interesting. But give me the 1-4 cold Exacta. Papa Dude, where are you going?
Well, since you gave me 2 minutes to look at the race, but I've listened to 2 experts here, so I'm just kind of glancing at this. Did anybody have any interest in the 7 at all? I'm just looking at maybe Lone Speed. Maybe gets out in front. I don't know how good that horse is, so I'm going to
like her to hit the board.
Okay.
I think 6 goes. I think that causes a problem for the 7.
Okay, yeah, 6 and 7. I see are the only ones that are speed, but the 6 is 50 to 1, so could screw everything up for the 7, I guess. I just don't. I agree with what Magic said too, but I don't know that McCulloch's good enough to beat Warlike Goddess. If Warlike Goddess is okay, and that's the big if. So I'm going to stick with Warlike Goddess too. But at 3 to 5, that's kind of risky also.
Yeah, tough to put a win bet in. Chris Mael asking, what price we play Warlike Goddess at? I would probably need even money to better to win. I don't think I'm ever getting that. So I feel like this is never a win bet for me. It's an exotic play where I'm trying to hit a trier super cold and trying to get somewhere in the 4 to 10 to 1 range, 4 to 1 on the Exacta, 10 to 1 on the try. Because it just, for me, I can't bet her at 3 to 5. I can't bet her at 2 to 5. 4 to 5 is even tough to swallow in my mind. Interesting tournament race as well, because I don't really know where you go here, right? Because you don't want to give up the free money with Warlike Goddess, and there's not a 20 to 1 here that you're like, oh, I'm going to take a shot with someone, right? I mean, maybe Papa Dude 7 there you take a swing with, but outside of that, it's the 2, 3, or 4, and they're all going to be sub 5 to 1 as well. So tough race from that spot. Magic, what's your win price on Warlike Goddess?
Even money. Yeah, I think you nailed it. It's got to be at least even money.
Interesting race there from the Grade 2, Glens Falls at Saratoga. That's going to be race number 9. Let's jump into the best bets of the day. We'll start out with Aaron's, who's phoned one in here. He's going to race number 7 at Saratoga, taking the 4 horse at 5 to 2. I also have this horse on top, so I don't hate the play here. This is one of the younger horses going in 6.5 furlong sprint on the dirt. It hasn't really done too much wrong. Seems like we're in the right spot here. Bill Mott, Junior Alvarado, looks like a pretty good horse to play. Don't mind the price at 5-2. We'll see if we get that. I'm a little worried that's going to come down a little bit. Magic, I don't know. Did you look at the 7th at all?
Yeah, I'm worried about the 3 a little bit in there, and the 4 being, because they're going 6.5. That's a little bit of a worry for me for the 4 horse to get the win here. I like the 3. She's been very popular at the claiming spot, and Irad Ortiz Jr. rides first off the claim for Gustavo. No, that's different. Jose D'Angelo, sorry. I lost my train of thought. Jose D'Angelo, the trainer, first off, and getting Irad to ride. So the 3, I think, at a price is a little interesting in there, too.
Yeah, I kind of like the 7, Temperamental. Engelhardt off the claim, putting Practical Joke back on the dirt, putting a Practical Joke horse back on the dirt, and gets Rosario up. We'll see what happens there. Rosario been riding a little bit better. Not going to completely bash him here. Doing a little bit better there at Saratoga. All right, jump into the best bets of the day. I'm going to start it out here. I'm going to the Giants first 5. I'll lay a half run, and I'll take the plus 107 money. They're taking on the D-backs. The D-backs are in an absolute free fall at this point. Brandon Pfaadt on the mound for Arizona. He has given up 3 or more earned in 8 of his 9 starts this year, and he has enjoyed giving up 6 or 7 earned in a couple of those. So I think that the Giants can get to him early, and the Giants are pitching a bullpen game. They are one of the best organizations in the world when they go with the bullpen game. So give me the Giants first 5. I'll lay a half here. Magic will jump over to you. What do you got?
Papa Dude and I kind of doing a similar thing here with a parlay. We both like the Rangers here. I'll talk about the Toronto Blue Jays. Kevin Gausman is the strikeout leader in the American League. He's getting over 6.5 Ks is the line. And the last 5 games, he's thrown 12, 7, 7, 9, and 9 strikeouts. And the over-under was set at 7.5 in those spots. Now you're getting 6.5. I think this is a great spot. Baltimore has been swinging and whiffing a lot. They love to swing the bat. They are a good team. That's why I didn't try and play any kind of a line here. But I really think with him averaging over 8 strikeouts per game, per start, Kevin Gausman over 6.5 is a great way to go. And then Max Scherzer, Papa Dude, he's making his Texas Rangers debut. I didn't want to touch the line. I thought they might be a little, they might be a little pull happy with him, maybe having him a short leash because they're thinking for the postseason here. But Texas Rangers should be able to handle the Chicago White Sox absolutely no problem. So I'll turn it over to you. Talk about your parlay.
Okay, I agree with you totally on the Toronto pitcher. I was going to go with the Orioles because they were plus money and they're really good until I got to digging in to what the pitcher has done for Toronto and his strikeouts. And Flaherty, who was just acquired in a trade, I believe is going to start tonight for Baltimore. Yep. And I don't know how that's quite going to go. I do think that's a good trade for the Orioles. I think it'll help them. I think he's one of those guys that rises to the occasion sometimes. But that first game with a new team on the road is always questionable. So I love your pick. The Rangers ought to be able to beat the White Sox tonight. I think Scherzer might, if he's right, and he's been pitching pretty darn good for New York, that is a great addition for Texas, especially with the Mets having to pay part of Scherzer's salary. I think the Rangers made a great move there. They needed a solid pitcher. How many times have we seen teams get a guy at this level in the season or this time of the season, a veteran, and he gets them 5 or 6 wins down the stretch and gets them in there? And by the way, Texas is pretty damn good too. And they're going to have to hold off Houston. So I think that's a good move for them. Ohtani's on the mound tonight for the Angels. This one's a little bit questionable. He had a one-hitter the last time he pitched. I think he's going to relax a little bit. He was, they thought he might get traded. They did not trade him. They're kind of in the hunt. This is a big game for them tonight. They need to win. They're almost in the playoff picture. So I like this parlay. By the way, I got it real early this morning at plus 127. It's down to like 115 or so now. So everybody is hopping on the Rangers. Actually, that's what's making it go down. So I like the Angels Rangers at plus 127. I have been red hot on our best bets page on the website. I can't get anything on this show. So this one comes through tonight. It's so frustrating.
Got to turn it around, Papa. Yeah, it's interesting, the AL West specifically, because you see the Angels decide to keep Ohtani, which I think they're going to regret because he's going to go somewhere else in the offseason, and they are going to get nothing for the best player of the generation. And the other two teams in front of them add Scherzer and Verlander. So like when you look at who actually added more, the Angels added the least. And oh, by the way, they're trying to catch Baltimore in the wild card. They're trying to catch the Yankees in the wild card. Well, the Yankees basically added Judge, which is a huge positive. Baltimore added Flaherty, which is probably better than anything the Angels added. So now you're a worse team than the teams you are chasing prior to the post-deadline than pre-deadline. Just not a wonderful look here for the Angels. We'll see if they're able to make up the ground late and retain Ohtani or not. But that's going to be a big storyline heading in the offseason, whether or not they got any value out of that. And they need to make the playoffs if they think they're going to keep him in any way, shape, or form. Still funny to me because if you thought you were going to re-sign him, trading him, getting a boatload of assets, and then bringing him back would have been an easier way to re-sign him than it would be flaming out here and not having those assets. Anyway, it's my Ohtani rant for the day. All right, let's jump into best bets of the day. We'll kick off here. We got Magic taking Gaussman over 6.5 Ks, Rangers plus 135. Aaron going to Saratoga, race number 7, taking on the 4-horse at 5-2 on the morning line. Give me the Giants first 5, lay a half run plus 107. Papa Dude, Angels Rangers money line parlay plus 127. 0-0 for the week, up $584 for the year. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Best bets around the sports and horse racing world. Good luck with all your bets today.